عاملني الكيس.
1/3 Arak, 2/3 water.
Very important that you follow the sequence of Arak, water,
ice cubes,
and then the ice. Why in that order? I have no idea.
Ice should be always last.
But there is some villages, like they prefer to put the ice first and then...
مش أصول.
If you put the ice before, it might create some crystallization in the drink. So
Cheers.
cheers.
Ooh, it's strong.
Even though I'm a wine writer, I would have to put up my hand and say that Arak is my favorite drink. If someone were to tell me you only have one drink to drink for the rest of your life, it would be Arak.
It's not about only drinking. It's about a table full of maza. It's a tradition you drink and eat with.
And the aniseed has the added bonus of cleansing the palate between each of the numerous dishes that appear on the table.
The idea of storing your food and your alcohol and your drinks for the winter is something very common in the villages. So Arak is part of something we store with the jam, with the olives that we pick. It is a ritual.
I was born in Bekaa Valley. Bekaa Valley is the region of Arak. It's the region of grapes where everyone should have a small distillate alembic in the house. And this is what we call the liquid of the lions. So, I mean, the city here, Zahli, the capital of Bekaa Valley, is known to be a wild city. We call the people the lions because they drink Arak at 7 a.m. in the morning.
I think any kind of morning drinking may be frowned upon by some people, but I certainly wouldn't frown upon you drinking it. If you go into rural areas of Lebanon, tradition being that the men would go into the fields very early, come back by about 10:30, nudging towards brunch time, and they would have a traditional Lebanese mountain cooked breakfast, meat and eggs, or maybe even raw meat. Certainly nothing wrong in washing all that down with a glass or two of Arak.
And this gives strength and power and energy. I mean, I know that might not be the reality, but that was the stories of our ancestors and grandfathers.
My grandfather used to shave with a glass of Arak. So, yeah, I'm not sure what that says about him, but
It's also something for the community with the community that we do, an activity. So when we're distilling Arak, we make a big feast and we just spend the day enjoying the freshly distilled Arak with the meal.
I'll tell you exactly when I first drank Arak. It was in 1992. I went back to Lebanon to live in 1991. I was having breakfast with a friend of mine, and he said, I think we'll have some Arak with it. And I think the drinker in me quite liked the idea of embracing this kind of tradition, habit, call it what you will.
I mean, my family, they always told me that it was in the milk bottle. I mean, they used to put Arak to give me the Bekaa Valley identity.
I was maybe 13 or 14, and then with lunch, with barbecue, with all the maza on the table, like I stole the glass of my father's to have a sip of Arak.
From then on, I was a man possessed
So I did it for my kids as well. So when they were drinking milk from the bottle at 3 months old, I used to put them two dots of Arak, and I will give them the nationality of Bekaa Valley and lions of the area.
Anyone who takes interest in spirits have to understand that Arak was where all spirits came from.
Alcohol was discovered in the Arab region.
The distillation process did come about through the experiments of the Arab scholars in the 6th and 7th centuries.
With the chemist called Jabran ibn Hayyan.
The distillation process was originally used to make coal.
Kuhl. Kuhl, it means like the eyeliner.
The Arabic word for alcohol is alcohol.
In town, in this region, they use it for a better reason, basically, to distill arak.
The word arak literally is Arabic for sweat, and arak is literally what is sweated out of the still. You can find arak in places as far-flung as Sri Lanka and China. Basically, the local moonshine in those countries, but it was still called arak, was an influence of the caravan trains and the trading routes that were carved out during that time. All the top Arak brands have imported their aniseed from Hina, which is in Syria. It's on the foothills of Mount Hermon.
The area called Sa'sa, south east from Damascus. It's a small village. They have the best anise.
Our need of aniseed per year is around 40-50 tons of aniseed per year.
Now, with the Syrian civil war, sourcing this arak has become a little bit more difficult, and I know at least one producer has already planted his own aniseed field near Baalbek in the northern Bekaa.
We distill arak since the beginning of the winery, since the mid of 19th century.
Well, my grandfather, he started making arak by hand with a simple distiller, which he uses to this day.
في يعمل 40 سنة.
Arak is a simple production. So grapes to turn wine, wine to turn alcohol, alcohol to turn arak, arak with water to be aged and then sold to the market. The old copper alembics that were produced in Aleppo in the 19th century are still giving the best arak spirit today.
He sets it up behind the winery, and he lights a fire under it. He starts distilling the grapes, and he turns the sugar into alcohol.
Triple distilled, which is the best because you're increasing the volume of alcohol.
The third time the aniseed is added.
And that's how you get the arak.
We are among the few wineries that do the full aging of the arak. It is untouched for 5 years in jars.
Ideally, we would keep it 6 months after producing it for it to relax, and
this is a way to make the arak more feminine, more smooth, more soft. We do have lots of them, so around 800 amphoras. Some of them, I mean, half of them were produced in the 19th century. But this is a very expensive procedure because you're just freezing your cash in aging the arak.
When I went back to Lebanon in '91, arak was seen as a complete peasant drink.
In the past 3 years, we experienced a huge attraction from the young generation in Lebanon.
Definitely, it is starting to be more popular in the younger generation, in my crowds.
Now that the Lebanese in the last 25 years have begun to stabilize after 15 years of conflict, they began to take more pride, if you want, in their rural heritage.
They feel maybe that they're drinking something unique, or they're having a unique experience, and this is what young people look for. They look for something unique.
Why should people know what they're going to drink when they have Japanese food? They say we're going to have sushi and sake. well, I want the day to come when people know that when they have Lebanese food, that they're going to order Arak.
Some of the export strategy for the Arak is to follow the Lebanese diaspora.
Some people talk about doing some, like mixing cocktails with Arak.
Cocktails have got to be the way forward. Lebanese restaurants have got to be the way forward. You have a drink with a vast heritage from a tiny country on the eastern end of the Mediterranean. A country, I might add, that already given the gift of wine to the world through the Phoenicians. That's what makes Arak such a wonderful and mystical drink. The fact that it tastes great.
It's the taste of Lebanon, it's the taste of family and friends.
I think Arak deserves its place among the great spirits of the world.
One more glass.